Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the 50th episode of the Supernova Show! And I am your host, Colton Roberts. And today, we're going to have a good show. We're going to talk about the NFL. We got who's going to go to the Super Bowl. And we have some interesting news on that side of things. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. And then we got Peacemaker, episode 1 through 6. I binge watched the entire show up until this point this week, so we can talk about that. And then we're going to also talk about some multiplex. They had their big Geek for All, Free for All, whatever. I don't remember what it's called, but Robert will know because Robert's the best. And then we can talk to Robert about his what his feelings are about Eternals. And then we'll jump into the Book of Boba Fett for the main event, episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. But I'm going to go ahead and bring out Mr. Robert Kastner. Hey, Robert.
Happy Friday, everybody out there. I don't know what happened on Groundhog's Day, but given how the weather is going, I assume Punxsutawney Phil saw a shadow.
I do believe that he did.
He usually does.
Yes.
He usually does not miss his shadow. Because spring never really wants to show up earlier than you want it to.
Yeah, no. That would be like one of those things where I'm the type of person, like, I hate winter just because of snow. I don't get cold, but snow pretty much shuts down North Carolina. Like, if it snows, I mean, it's been snowing here for at least a century. Like, we should have gotten this stuff, but we're never prepared for it. So whenever it snows more than like 3 or 4 inches, we're done. But
well, that's why Texas had dozens of people die during the freeze last year, because Texas also does not know how to deal with weather, and they wanted to make sure this time around that everybody knew that they were more ably prepared for it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, isn't there a big snowstorm in Texas right now?
Yeah, not where I'm at, but yes, there is.
Yeah.
And they made sure that they interrupted a lot of people's daily programming on Wednesday night to talk specifically on the news about all the weathery stuff. And you know what I realized about being a weather person? You really want to be the meteorologist because you get to stay in studio. You don't have to be those losers who are out there picking up little sheets of snow and ice, being like, look at this, look at these sheets of snow and ice. It's happening. Very weird. But it also is weird coming back to the Groundhog's Day thing that Bill Murray was forced to go to Punxsutawney to do an on-site thing because he was the meteorologist. So he should have just been able to stay in Pittsburgh. I don't know what that's about. Either way, I digress.
Yep. Yeah, it's been quite a week. I told you before, I started my new job and I interviewed for another job and then I got another job offer. So those are like 3 things that I'll be doing. 2 of them are from the comfort of my house, so I can at least do remote work, which means guess what I'll be doing on that TV over there? Probably not studying
Star Wars.
Yeah, I was like, probably not studying geek trivia. And also, I haven't put in my audition for Star Wars yet because I'm a lazy bum.
When's that due?
I have no idea. They don't have a date set on their Twitter. So every time I see it, I'm like, ooh, I'll do that. And then I just don't do it. So
Supernova Show patrons, if you're out there, well, not legitimately patrons because we don't get money from this, but those who subscribe and those who watch these shows, do what you can to prompt Colton to do this so that he does not miss out because he's a procrastinator. And I'm a procrastinator too, but you want to make sure that this gets done. Everybody out there, make sure that you blow up his Twitter account. Make sure he is aware.
Yes. That would be great. Come on, get some reactions with me. I'll totally talk to you on Twitter if you're an actual real person. But yeah, it's been a good week. I can't really complain. We're 34 weeks into the pregnancy, so 3 more weeks before he's at full term, and then he can come out. But hopefully he stays in for a full 6. But yeah, it's
he could come out. He could poke his head out, much like a groundhog, and be like, I'm here.
Yeah, he could come sooner than that. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Wouldn't it do wonders for the show if that happened while you were recording and then you just had to leave?
It would absolutely not, because then I would have to run to the hospital, which luckily my wife is only right across from that room, so I'll hear about it. But you'll have to talk for a really long time because I probably won't be here to end the broadcast. So
that'd be funny. It'd be like a filibuster. I'd have to get a catheter put in to make sure that I could speak the entire time and be able to void my bowels.
Yes. Please don't do that. That sounds horrific.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a very interesting time. Like, I'm ready to meet little buddy, and we'll have his name will be announced on the 19th, so I can talk about what his name is then. So like 2 more weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
He's come up with a very cool way to do so. Maybe in fireworks. That would be neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what my wife has planned. Like, I know we took pictures with his name on a board this week. So, but that won't be released until the day that we were actually tell people. But yeah, it's good.
My week has stunk. It has been a terrible week because much like how you've started a new job,
yes,
the capacity of my job has ramped up 2 to 3-fold in terms of work, and it started this week. And I remember what it was like to work this way, and I disliked it then, and I still dislike it now. But I reached my year anniversary of working the job, and that was kind of my goal for it. I wanted to make sure I could last a year. Now everything else after this is gravy.
Well, that's good. Hey, Facebook finally worked for me. Freaking the last few weeks when I've been trying to share this to all the groups, I've had to retype the title every single time I shared it, which is not super annoying or anything. Now the copy and paste worked, so we made that work. So now we're done with that.
And I mean, it's not unique that it doesn't work for you, because if you would ask one side of the political spectrum and the other side, they would say that it doesn't work for them most of the time.
Yep. But yeah, so let's now, of course, I totally forgot to throw the banner down there.
Banner.
Yeah.
The digger.
Hey,
I forgot what it was like on Wednesday when all the snow stuff was happening. The ticker was down on the news to tell people about all the school closings and whatnot. I was like, I remember this. I remember watching this.
Like, I don't have cable, so I never have to worry about that. But yeah, since I do have kids, I do have to go on like the websites to see, because where I only adopted them this coming year, they aren't like, they don't have any of my information yet. So they don't send me like the emails or anything. They send my wife, but then she'll like not tell me until much later. And she'll be like, oh yeah, there's this. And I'll be like, cool, I've already seen this on the news reports, but thank you.
The last 2 days, I don't go into an office right now, but we do have an office in my city. So I got texts letting me know that the office was closed. And on Thursday, I was like, the office is still open? Who's going into the office? But I guess some people do because they're essential and they have to be there. But texts are really nice. You don't have to like bother about anything.
Yes. But yeah, all right. So some interesting things happened in the NFL this weekend.
Some crazy ass things happened in the NFL.
Yes. Not only did I talked to you last week, and I was like, why could they not have released this news on Friday night? Because that would have been the headline. Instead of it being like the last thing that's in our thing, that would have been the first thing that was in our thing. In the description of the video is insert the thing here. Tom Brady's retiring.
Yes. And I will throw a parade at some point, at a COVID-friendly parade, but I'm going to throw that parade. So excited. Like, that's one of those things where, like, yeah, he's retiring, and like my dad, he's a Cowboys fan. He does not like Tom Brady,
But he works on airplanes, and apparently the airplane that he was working on today was Tom Brady's airplane.
What?
Yeah. So he saw him, he got a picture with him, sent it to me, and called me while this morning. I was like, "Hey, look at your phones. Look who I saw today." And I was just like, he was like, "Yeah, I don't like him at all, but I know you like him, so I hope you enjoy this." And I'm like,
Did you enjoy it, or were you jealous of your father for getting?
oh, I was absolutely jealous. Like, I mean, like, not to say like I think like statistics show he's probably the best quarterback of all time. I don't know.
Statistics do show that. It's not
Yeah,
even close. But that's what happens when you play 22 years and you play
yeah,
at a high level, and you get to take advantage of a terrible division for 20 of those years. And by the way, the other 2 years when you were in the NFC South, that division also wasn't gangbusters either. So
yeah,
basically, Tom Brady's never played in a decent division. And yeah, and you get to play a crap ton of playoff games too because of that.
yeah.
By the
Yeah,
way, I'm very excited again that Tom Brady is retiring. I'm a little butthurt that he decided to do that a week after my quarterback decided to retire, which makes the Hall of Fame thing a little bit more complicated. But you know what? I don't give a crap. I just want him gone, and I'm happy he's gone now. I thought it would be another year or two, but I still have a shred of my youth left to enjoy without Tom Brady.
yeah, yeah. That's one of those things where like I know a lot of people have came out. They're like, is he the like he's obviously the GOAT when it comes to quarterback. People are like, is he the best football player to ever play the game? And I think that, but people are like, is he the greatest athlete of all time? And I'm like,
No,
shut
stop.
up. No.
Did you see him trying to catch? I mean, it's in the Super Bowl. He couldn't catch passes. Nick Foles could catch a pass, and he
Yeah.
couldn't catch a pass. Nick
Like,
Foles beat him in a. Tom Brady lost 3 Super Bowls, 2 to Eli Manning and 1 to Nick Foles. It's the weirdest thing. The better quarterbacks he played in the Super Bowl, he beat Patrick Mahomes, Donovan McNabb, Kurt Warner. He beat those dudes, but he couldn't beat Eli Manning and he couldn't beat Nick Foles. It's the weirdest freaking thing you've ever seen. But no, he's not the best athlete. You would say somebody like Jerry Rice.
Michael Phelps.
Oh, you mean ever? Sorry, I
Yeah.
thought you meant I don't think he's the best athlete in football.
Yeah. Well, I know like Amaru posted that people were thinking he's like the greatest athlete of
No, he's not.
And I'm like, no. Like Michael Phelps probably is. Just given the amount of gold medals that he's got, that probably is like the recognition there.
You could say any of the tennis people, Serena, or
Yeah.
Rafael Nadal just won his 21st Grand Slam in Australia this past week. You have wrestlers, you have people who do Olympic events, who dominate Olympic events that people don't really care about. Shaun White won a lot of gold medals. I mean, there's a lot of people. Simone Biles, you could put in there. There's a lot of people who are better athletes than Tom Brady. There's a lot of things that you could, if we were doing debating and we were having a debate and you were on the side that Tom Brady's the greatest athlete ever, I know you're not saying that, but if you did, I could give you so many examples of why he is not the greatest athlete ever.
And here's Jonathan. It really feels like an end of an era.
It is.
The last 3 years with the retirements of Eli, Phillips Rivers, Drew Brees, Big Ben, and now Brady.
Yeah.
And even if you take that and go like the last 5 years is when Peyton retired, right?
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of retirements in the last 5 years of people who are iconic for the purpose of existing in the NFL. And the mid to late 2000s version of how the NFL looked moving into 2022 is gone. This is more we're in the 2010s, 2020s version of how the NFL exists because a lot of people from the 2000s now are retired, which is a weird thing to think about, but it's true.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then, of course, like this weekend as well, the Rams beat the 49ers, which I did not predict.
Which I did. Although it was dicey. The 49ers did have a 10-point lead late in that game, and then they freaking blew it. Jimmy G threw a terrible pick at the end. what's his name? I think it's Jarkeezy Tart had a pick right here. It was thrown to him and he just dropped it like an idiot. And then the Rams had a good pass rush, which people thought, and Stafford to Cup is like one of the better combinations, quarterback to receiver in the NFL right now.
Yep. And then of course the Bengals beat the Chiefs in overtime.
I watched a majority of that game. I think I turned it on in the second quarter and it was 21-3. And I was like, well, this game's pretty much done.
Yeah,
Then,
I thought the same thing. Like last week, we made the prediction that I didn't think they were going to get past the teens in points.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, the second quarter, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be right," and I was not.
I came in, the Bengals stopped them, I believe, or they let them score the touchdown. Maybe it was 14-3, and they let them score the touchdown to go 21-3. And then the Bengals scored that touchdown to make it 21-10. And the Chiefs tried to go down, and they were at the goal line. And Patrick Mahomes threw a terrible screen pass with 5 seconds left and no timeouts. And they ran out of time and didn't get any points. And that sort of set the tone for how the second half would go, because the Chiefs only scored 3 points at the end, and the Bengals had a decent shot to win in regulation. And then the Chiefs won the toss, and everybody was like, well, Chiefs won the toss. They're going to win the game again. And people are going to be really pissed off for a second week in a row about how the overtime rules go. Chiefs couldn't do anything, and he throws a pick, and the Bengals go down with the game. I don't know what the hell happened. You start to look at how the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have sort of worked in the playoffs, and it's actually been just about as much bad as good. They made 4 straight AFC title games. That's great. Lost to Brady. They won the Super Bowl, but the 49ers could have won that game. It was really like Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Damian Williams were just like saved them in that game. And they lost the next Super Bowl to Tampa, got smoked. And then you have this one, which is tied for the worst collapse ever in an AFC Championship game. He's going to have some competition going forward with Buffalo, with Cincinnati now, with the Chargers. AFC is going to be tough, and he might find trekking through that to get more Super Bowls to be difficult, because people considered when he won that first Super Bowl and they made the second one that if anybody could challenge Brady's 7 Super Bowls, it would be him. People found out it's really not that easy to win a bunch of Super Bowls. Not a lot of people do it. And there's a reason, because it's hard to win a Super Bowl. It's hard to be consistent and win a lot of them.
Yep, and yeah, so we got Rams versus the Bengals, and
yeah, I don't know what the odds were at the beginning of the year if you had that. I do know if you picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year, I think the odds were like 175-1. So if you put some money down on it, you'd be looking really, really good right now. Like if you put $1,000 on it, you could be close to being you could get $250,000, getting close to that. So, that's pretty good.
So what you're telling me is next year I need to like find the most obscure team ever and then bet on them.
If you wanted to put a little bit of money on it, there's always a team who really goes past expectations to do well. Now, getting to the Super Bowl a year after winning 4 games and having Joe Burrow with a shredded knee is insane. That's an insane thing. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, by the way. But getting there is an accomplishment in and of itself. I did think, and I did tell you this, I believe, that I did think the Bengals could make the AFC title game. I didn't pick it in my bracket, but I saw it. I saw the path to it. Didn't see them getting the Super Bowl. I thought that's insane. But they can totally win this game, by the way. Yes, the Rams are favorites by 4.5. That doesn't really mean a whole lot. I think the question will be is if they can score points this time around, unlike what they could do 2 years ago when they had Jared Goff and they played the Patriots, and the Patriots just stomped them out offensively. It was gross. Or 3 years ago, I guess, at this point. But yeah, it's not what everybody expected. It's good for parity's sake. I didn't want Kansas City in another Super Bowl or Aaron Rodgers in another Super Bowl, but I don't know what the long-term shelf life is for these teams. Even with Joe Burrow having, Cincinnati being a young team because the AFC is so stacked. I think this is kind of like the Rams. Like, they have to do it this year. They have to win this one because I don't know how it's going to work the next couple years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like, of course, like I don't know anything about the Pro Bowl.
No, there's nothing to know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like so
They're
I
doing
don't.
skills competitions, I think, today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was like I know. Yeah, people get invited to be on the team, and then some people are like that. I'm too good for that.
Well, if you're part of the Super Bowl teams, you don't do it.
Right.
So anybody who's a Bengal or a Ram, and there's a lot of Pro Bowlers on the Bengals and Rams, so then that opens up for other people to go. Like two of the Steelers who should have been on there but weren't voted on or didn't get to go, now they get to go because they're alternates, and that still counts. If they say you're on the Pro Bowl roster and you go to the Pro Bowl, you're a Pro Bowler. If you made the team and you didn't go, you're still a Pro Bowler. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't. Is this like the basis of like? Of course, I don't know what. Like back in the day, they had the NFL and the AFL game.
AFC versus the NFC is what they
Okay.
used to do.
Yeah, is this like a tradition of that?
No, they changed it where now it's done like schoolyard, I believe, or it's like teams are picked. I don't think they do the AFC NFC anymore.
Oh, okay.
So it's different now because that was boring as hell.
And
Yeah, that's going to be the main storyline for the week leading up to the Super Bowl is that Zach Taylor coached with Sean McVay. So the Sean McVay coaching tree is strong.
I was gonna say I don't know what any of that means, so I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, it's just anytime there's people who play other coaches who they used to coach for as assistants, they always bring that up. Because the idea is that the head coach fostered the coaching skill of that assistant, and thus he was able to go and garner another job. But I got to tell you, the first 2 years of Zach Taylor was not great. People were like, how's he going to hold on to that job? Joe Burrow's healthy. He made the Super Bowl. He's probably going to have that job for a bit of time.
Okay, so then they also another thing happened, and the former Washington football team, because I will not reference what they were before that.
Washington derogatory Native American slur.
Yes, exactly. So that because I don't want to get canceled. The 3 people that watch this show, please don't cancel me. But yeah, like so the Washington Commanders.
Ugh.
And I don't know how I feel about that either.
It sounds so stupid.
Well, not only that, but like they already didn't want to do the derogatory term for Native Americans.
Yeah.
So then they changed the football team, which was stupid. But now they're like, hey, we're the Washington insert military rank, when the insert military rank are the ones that did the awful things to the.
Well, I mean, no one's thinking about that. It's more.
So
people are thinking about that. That's silly.
Yeah. I've seen so much on Twitter about why would you change it to a military faction?
I mean, they didn't have like formal commanders in the 16th century or the 15th century when the terrible genocide was happening. I think that's a silly argument.
Yeah,
the real argument is just that it's a stupid name.
Yeah, like I know people have been like, Andrew Jackson was a really big commander, and he did the Trail of Tears, and now you're doing this, and I'm like, you guys just have too much to complain about.
I can't roll my eyes into my head far enough. He was the commander-in-chief because he was the president.
Yeah.
You should have called him the Washington presidents. You would have had a problem. What they should have done is they should have been the Washington Sentinels, like from the Keanu Reeves movie, The Replacements. I think that's a better name. I think they should have just stole it. Who cares?
And this is what Jonathan said about.
Okay, I disagree. I think this is one of those they're happy to be here situations, and the Rams are just they
Okay,
have to win. They're just so desperate. They have to win it.
yeah, Jonathan, I'll say this much: if the Bengals win the Super Bowl the week after the Super Bowl, yeah, you message me and you can come on the show to gloat like live in person if you want to. Like you send me a message. Actually, if you want to come on anytime, that's cool. Like I like the interaction, but yeah, just to like because I'm not making any choices because the last 3 weeks I've chosen teams and then the opposite has happened. Like my trivia curse has now spread to football, and I don't appreciate that.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. Okay, well, whatever.
And then
Good for him.
but yeah, I don't know if there's anything else.
Well, there's also the Brian Flores is suing the NFL for a racial discrimination thing that's going on. As he was fired from the Dolphins, and he claimed he was being bribed or being available to be paid to lose games on purpose. And then that he went to go interview for the Denver Broncos job, and John Elway came in late and inebriated. And he's doing this in the course of trying to get another NFL head coaching job, which, to be fair, he never should have been fired from his previous head coaching job. So there's this whole big thing about the racial discrimination, how the Rooney Rule that was put in place 20 years ago, how it really hasn't enacted the kind of change they're hoping for from a coaching and a the head office situation with regards to or the front office with regards to team makeup and people of color not being put in positions of power in the NFL and blah 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 blah. It's like the Colin Kaepernick thing. He's doing the Colin Kaepernick thing. The interesting thing is that his career could have lasted for decades because he's a young dude, and he's putting that on hold to try to change, to try to make the NFL change. And we'll see if anything happens. I think there might be a little bit more forgiveness with regards to if he doesn't win the lawsuit, that he could still probably come back at some point. Most people think that he's done this and he's basically set fire to his career. I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I do know he'll probably be persona non grata for a long time, but that's a big thing that's also going on this week. So it's a very packed week of NFL news in a week where we don't actually have a game going on.
Okay, yeah. Well, Jonathan said he'd like to come on the show, so hey, we might be able to make that work. But yeah, like it's going to be an interesting week. But let's go ahead and we'll move on to the movie trivia report. I know we got some multiplex stuff, but I didn't watch the full. What you know what it's called? You were in.
The last one standing.
Yes, that is right.
The last man standing is derogatory.
Yeah.
There are people, and there are women who also participate. And actually, a woman almost won the damn thing.
Yes. Yes, she did.
And probably should have. She just sort of she had a brain fart at the end, unfortunately. And I'm prone to it myself, so I understand it.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about with regards to it? You want to go through the whole thing?
So how did that? So winning that, what happens to the person who wins that?
So let's just go through the deal of it. So for people who don't know, the last one standing is a free for all. 35 people were invited. They got numbers an hour beforehand. They set up a stream that was filmed about 3 weeks ago, and people came in and they did the 5 questions per lowest person or people, lowest scores of the people or person who are finished in that round are then removed, and then they bring new people in. So we had some people who went on some runs. Tyler and Albert were the first to go a really long way. I was around there and went pretty far away. I actually knocked them out. Joe then came up, and there was a big table of Joe. and Caleb Coho and Spence and Brittany, who lasted a really long time. And then Scully, because the Kingsman won the Game of Factions, they got to decide where in the free-for-alls that they would want players to be after the number 30. And so he got to come in at 30 when he's the best fandom player left. And then they started whittling it down. It was then Brittany and Scully at the end. Brittany had a lead on him, but she missed a couple questions. Scully ended up winning. So what that means is, for those who don't know, Scully is in a number one contender match on one side of the bracket against Mark Menchaca. The other side of the bracket is whoever comes out of the five-way between Joe, Holtzman, me, Albert, and Tyler. So he could go in and he could win the singles, and then he has a title shot that he can use at any point in the season. So he could set up for, if he doesn't win the belt in singles, to come and challenge at any point, or use it for the Manhattan Project with him and Coho, which Coho lasted a really long time. So that team looks scary as hell, and they could get a team's title shot. So that's the ramifications of that. And then Brittany, since she didn't win, but she lasted the most rounds and had the better accuracy in comparison to Coho, I believe. So she has a number one contender shot for teams or singles in her back pocket. So those are the ramifications of the last one standing. I ended up being in the top 10 for longest staying. I think it was 9th or 10th. Depending on how you feel about the Scully thing, because he came in and he lasted the same amount of rounds as me, technically. But yeah, so that was fun. I'm sad at some people who ended up lasting longer than I am, because I think I'm better than them. But in the round that I went out, just questions that I did not like. I liked all the questions basically after I went out, which is hilarious. But what are you going to do?
Yep.
Does that fully explain to everybody out there what the last one standing, what it meant, and how it went?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting thing. Like,
it was also the first, the advent of using some of the new categories and questions. So we got some Twilight questions. We got a lot of Alien versus Predator questions. We got some new like Disney questions, like stupid Herbie the Love Bug questions and whatnot. So that's the first instance where you get to see new fandom stuff come about.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very, like, I've played a few free for alls. Played one last year. Played one in 2020. I don't understand why. I'll probably never do it again.
Why? It's fun.
It's just like,
I almost want a free for all.
Yeah, it's an entire thing. Like, I just don't.
The first thing I ever won in trivia was a free for all.
Yeah,
it was neat. I enjoyed it. It made me feel good.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't.
And by the way, the other free for all for Warzone is this week.
Okay, and then I know we don't talk about them a whole lot, but Nerd Entertainment Network, they're going to have their like big time undisputed championship match between you and Ryan Payne.
Yep.
I don't know when that is.
I think that's in a weekend or two.
Yeah. So that's interesting. The undisputed champion. Well, given the fact that both of y'all are both good in geek and in singles, that's what makes it interesting. Like, if it was someone who, like, let's say you were the singles champion, but you were like awful at geek, that would be no fun to watch against someone who.
I'd feel bad about myself if that was the case.
Yeah, like, let's say, for an example, if Anthony was the singles champion and he was playing against someone like you or Ryan or Jake, or like, he wouldn't do well because of the geek categories, but he would do well in the singles categories. But I don't know how the match is set up. So, like,
well, you'll get to see it.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody enjoys it.
Yes. But yeah, so that's interesting. And of course, the Schmodown Awards are tonight. I have not watched any of it because we're doing this. And this
Anybody
is
I know gonna win it? And I don't count Thomas
I
Harper.
assume.
You know him. I don't.
Yeah. I assume Thomas Harper is going to win Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Player of the Year, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Which that'd be great. Like if he I'm trying to get him to come on next week if he's not busy because Book of Boba Fett ends. That would be wonderful if he did, and then he was able.
Sorry, what's that show?
Uh,
What's the show?
Book of Boba Fett.
No, I don't know that show.
Oh yeah, me either.
Okay. I know a show with a dude who wears Mandalorian armor and goes around on adventures, but I don't think his name is Boba Fett.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought that was going to be a transition, but I understand what you're saying.
Now remember that's the main event of the show here.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I think that's all I got for trivia.
Well, I guess we can talk about Schmodown Awards next week.
Yes, especially if Thomas is on, then we'll definitely talk about it. Because
what if Rue wins?
Oh, then I'll definitely be like, "Yo, get on the show."
Okay.
Same
It'd
thing.
be great if he won. I don't foresee it, but I
think the only thing he's nominated for is Rookie of the Year and IG Player of the Year,
and he's not going to win either of them.
He's not going to win that second.
No, he's not going to win either of them. But
it could happen. Like
if it came out of the blue, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't know how many fan league or watchers are patrons that could then turn around and vote for him for Rookie of the Year, because if that happens, I mean, it is a voted on thing, so it could theoretically happen.
That's a good question. I think there's somewhat of a divestment between fan league and Schmodown now. It used to be that the fan league people did it with an eye to get to the big league, but now I think there's sort of been a divergence of that, and people just kind of like playing in the fan leagues. But whatever. Yeah, no, I don't know. We can talk about that next week.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what. Okay, so now, so what did you think of Eternals?
Long.
Yes,
I thought it was really, really long.
Yeah,
I thought it was so long that, and I heard ideas of this when I heard people doing. I think I watched the honest trailer for it after I watched it, and then other people's ideas that maybe that Eternals segment of what they wanted to go through and show should have been multiple movies. Like maybe the first movie, the Eternals origin story, should have been mostly in the past, and then we can add another movie if that did well enough and take it into modern day.
Yeah, like a story in ancient Babylon would have been really
Babylon or Mesopotamia or India as they were in, or during the freaking Revolutionary War or the genocide of the founding of America or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, they could have probably split that up because that was a lot to take in and a lot I really didn't care about, honestly.
Yeah, it was. I think it's a good movie. I do agree that.
I think it's a decent movie. Let me just say that. I don't.
Yeah,
good.
Me and Rue talked about this a few weeks ago because I was waiting for you to watch it. So I know there's a big controversy online about this movie. That
sex scene?
No, not just that. I've seen people be like, "That's not how people have sex."
Well, I mean, it was the most bland, robotic version of sex you'll probably ever see.
Yeah,
which is fair because, as it turns out, spoiler, they're robots.
Yes, but I mean, some people have sex like that.
Some people have sex with 3 thrusts of missionary position in a hole.
I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I don't freaking know.
Okay. It seems very unique to that situation to me, but that's fair.
Yeah, who knows? Freaking. Lord, they probably just like I'm surprised, like not to move away from the sex talk, but the movie did feel like it was forever long. But guess what? Like my kids, they went and watched it with me, and they were glued in the entire time.
Well, kudos to them for having longer attention span than I do. Because
Yeah,
my gosh, I looked and I was like, an hour and a half is still left. Are you kidding?
yeah, and it's yeah, I kind of agree that it's an odd thing. Like it is way too long. Like there's also like some things like they reference Superman in the movie, which is the second Marvel movie ever to reference. Like Spider-Man 2 did it,
Mm.
and then this has, and I'm like, I was always like, wait, I don't think they're allowed to do that, but
Yeah, they can.
I mean, I guess that's fine,
Yeah.
but
I mean, they're not like showing images of him or they're not showing renderings
yeah,
that would have been construed as like stories from comics or whatever. So I think if you just mention it, you could say a Superman and it's generic enough, honestly. I know it wasn't in that context, but I think as long as you don't do it in a way that sets up to affect copyright, then you're okay.
yeah, and it was a thing where like as a Game of Thrones person, like hearing Jon Snow say "I love you, Cersei" was
That
so
was in the
weird.
honest trailer. You have two dudes from Game of Thrones
Both in
talking
love
about
with
both in love with Cersei.
yeah.
It's very weird. And I'm not a Game of Thrones person. I'm going to start soon. But
Yeah, I would definitely like House of the Dragon is coming out pretty soon.
yeah, I
And
don't that doesn't affect what affects my ability to start Game of Thrones is to finish the things that I'm almost completed with.
yes, I understand.
And
Like
I'm halfway through Dexter season 6.
oh, okay.
After finishing New Blood. So I need to finish that.
All right, so I have a question. Does no, no,
Oh,
we'll
what?
talk about it
What?
off.
Haha. Oh,
Does
okay.
New Blood like end well?
No.
No, it doesn't.
Well, sorry. If you ask my wife, she enjoyed it. I enjoyed a big chunk of it, but there's a large part of it that makes me sad.
Okay.
I'll say that.
All right. So I know the big controversial thing is I know a lot of the things like in Marvel now are being like you see Clint look at the urinal and it says Thanos was right, and a lot of people are like Thanos was right because it's revealed at the end of the movie that he is an Eternal, and I'm assuming that he knows what's going on, and if he knows that he kills half of all life in the universe, the Celestials won't be born. So that makes it seem like, yeah, he was kind of right because
Mm.
yeah, like the Celestials being born is awful for the people of those planets, but yeah, it makes more life. But you shouldn't sacrifice the life of those planets for potential new life.
Do you think nowhere then when he goes there in Infinity War is a weird concept for him? Do you think it's like strange because he's basically in the hollowed out head of himself almost?
Yeah, like it's and I know a lot like I know certain people did not like the like I didn't know that that was Harry Styles until after I'd seen the movie.
I wasn't paying, it was 2 hours and 20 minutes to 25 minutes, so I was basically done with it. It was late at night. I was like, I'm done with it. And then I heard Patton Oswalt as like a fawn. And I was
Yeah.
like, ah, cool. And then I saw this person. Is his name Star Fox? Am I crazy?
Yeah, it's Star Fox, but his real name is Eero or
It's Arrows. Like
Eros. Yeah,
yeah. But I had Star Fox and I was like, sweet.
yeah,
Yeah, just keep that train going. But then I watched the honest trailer and they were like Harry Styles, and I was like, oh, that's who that was. That is exactly who that was. I wasn't paying attention.
yeah. Because like, I guess because I haven't seen him since he was a lot younger when he was in One
You know what,
Direction.
Dunkirk?
Uh, oh my lord, I'm having like,
He's
I
in,
I
he's in
didn't notice
Dunkirk. That
him.
was a big part of Dunkirk. They were like, Harry Styles is in Dunkirk, and he's actually a decent actor in it, and he really is.
Okay, so I have seen Dunkirk, but now reminded me that that's him, and I didn't know that that was him. So,
well, now you do.
Yeah,
5 years later.
Yeah, so thank you for that. But yeah, like I like the movie. I do wonder why, like the entire thing of, we couldn't kill Thanos because that would be us interfering.
That pissed me off.
Like, but
I knew that's what they were gonna say, and it pissed me off still. I knew it.
Like him deleting half of all life in the universe is also getting in the way of your mission. Also, like
they didn't know about though.
Yeah.
So like, that part is fine.
Well, yeah, but the Salma Hayek, she knew.
Yeah, but she was conflicted at that point.
Yeah, and then Icarus also knew, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, like
he said he knew for years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he knew at that point too. Or he knew for like a century. Yeah, so they knew.
Yeah, because that's the reason why he left Cersei was because he found out, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know I have to know Eternals for trivia, and I remember like Abersham or whatever his name is. Right?
Yeah,
that's his name, right? That's the God Maker, the guy at the forge.
Yeah. Erisham.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the Eternal they're trying to have born yet.
Oh, Tiamat.
Tiamat, that's right. It was something.
Yeah, because I remember they said it, and that's like the 5-headed dragon god in Dungeons of the Dragons. I was like, that's so weird. Like that's a thing that exists in another thing, and yeah. But
yeah, Erisham. Yeah, that's that dude. Who I then was afforded. People made a reference to it. That when they go to in Guardians, when you go to Collector and he explains the Infinity Stones, that Abersham's like one of the Eternals.
Yeah.
Or if it's not him, it's a god-like creature that looks very much like him.
Yeah, it's definitely a celestial, and like now it makes me wonder. Like, Ego is a celestial. Is he one that just only is brain formed? And not
time. He didn't have the time, maybe.
Yeah, like he didn't get enough
properly.
Yeah, like it's
By the way, can you imagine having sex with a planet?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm sure
it would be like if our planet had sex with anything, Florida would be the Wang.
I was gonna say, I was like, no, Italy.
They'd compete.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, I guarantee someone has had sex with our planet because there's weirdos.
I'm pretty sure, like in the Lil Dicky Earth video, if you've ever seen it, I'm pretty sure he has sex with the planet. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
That's a cartoon, but still.
But yeah, so like in the comics, Thanos is the deviant, and that's the reason why he's all purple and weird, while all of the rest of his species looks like Harry Styles. And so I'm like, he is a deviant, you freaks. Why wouldn't you interfere in this? But that I had to turn my comic brain off because I'm like, they haven't ever talked about that.
And it was interesting looking back when he shows Doctor Strange what Titan used to look like. You don't really see any other people. You just see the landscape, basically.
Yeah.
You can't really like focus in on anybody. And that sort of plays into, we didn't see people looking like Thanos. So you could keep that in your back pocket.
Yeah, and of course, like, I'm trying to remember, what did you think of the end credit scene with Kit Harrington?
My wife missed the first one and saw that one. I was like, what's going on? I was like, this is really important. And she goes, why? What's on there? I'm like, no, not that. It's this part. you hear I forget what freaking Blade says, but he says something. I'm like, that's the important part, is that's Blade saying something to him.
Yeah. Which, like, when the movie came out, I hated the internet because everywhere ran that Mahershala Ali was in that scene. And I'm like, I'm glad I saw it on opening night because if not, I'd be so mad at you people.
I mean,
That
I
is such
knew
a
that was
spoiler.
coming. I
Yeah.
knew that was coming.
Yeah, but like that's such a spoiler. Like,
I was like, I already knew Mahershala Ali was going to be Blade. I figured he was going to show up in something, and they didn't even show up. He just spoke a line.
yeah, it was like, are you sure you want to do that? Or
Yeah, are you sure you want to do that, Mister? Whatever his last name was.
yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, I don't know where they go from with
I don't
here.
think they really go anywhere, honestly.
Well, I mean, there's going to be another movie because they set that kind of up. But like, I know obviously, like Kit Harrington becomes Black Knight. So
You have to explain to me who Black Knight is. I don't know who that is.
yeah, he's just a dude with a cursed sword that then once he does it,
Is he like Meta Knight from Kirby? Because that'd be cool.
no, he's just
Damn it.
yeah, like
Well, then I'm out. I don't care. I had a thought of it. No, now you dash those hopes, so I don't care.
yeah, he's just like his family keeps.
How close is he to Moon Knight?
Yeah, I'm excited for Moon Knight.
So you're saying he's not close to Moon Knight?
No,
Okay, well then I'm out further.
I mean, I guess kinda. I mean, but like less with he like knows what he's doing. Where kind of Moon Knight is like a dual personality thing.
He's multiple personalities.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like seeing Kit Harrington do all this will be interesting.
By the way, when I watched the movie, the Eternals trailer, I was like, "You lied to me. I thought you were going to tell me Kit Harrington was an Eternal, and then it wasn't. They faked that." I was like, "Oh, cool." That's
Yeah, I know. Like you had said it right because you weren't going to watch the movie, and you're like, "Yeah, I can't wait to see what his powers are."
Yeah.
And I'm over here, I'm like, he doesn't have any.
Well, the trailer confused me.
Yeah,
It did it on purpose. So good job, Marvel, for doing another one of those trailers that confused people.
yeah.
I was like, he can turn things to roses. That's neat. It's not him. It's Hema-chan. By the way, Hema-chan. By the way, you want to talk about controversy? Hema-chan was already in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, as a Skrull.
No.
Wasn't she?
No, she was a Kree.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
part of the squad.
Yep.
It was Minerva. But like, we can't find enough Asian actresses. We got to double up someone who was just in a Marvel movie 2 years earlier.
Yeah. I mean they already got Aquafina.
Yep. Claudia Kim was in. She was Nagini, but she was in something else. I can't remember what.
Yeah, it's like they took the and I know crap, what's her name? The mom from Crazy Rich Asians. She's going to be in something soon.
Oh.
I don't remember what, but so yeah, they're like they saw that movie and were like, "Hey, let's take that cast," which is good motivation because that's a good movie. Like,
well, Henry Golding didn't get that. He got to be Snake Eyes.
Yeah, that's
boo for him. He screwed that up.
Yeah, but all right. So let's move on.
Oh, so my grade on Eternals is like a C+.
Ooh, okay. Yeah,
it had some stuff. I love. By the way, the Honest Trailer did remark that Kumail, he got jacked for no reason. He didn't even get a scene with his shirt off, which is ridiculous. I love Brian Tyree Henry. He was my favorite character in that whole movie. I just felt how upset he was, and I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed that he basically took down Icarus. I mean, Icarus did get free, but he held him down for a long time using his fucking brain. That was cool. Everybody else I could take or leave, honestly. And as the Honest Trailer said, Druid sucks.
Okay. I just sent a message to the chat just for you.
Well, people are stupid.
Yep, I agree. Like, I know people made the same comment about that being the problem with The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm like, that is not the problem with that movie.
No, that's not the problem. It's that it was portrayed in such a surface level way that it really undercut the importance of what that could have been. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatever. I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
Eternals took some swings. Some of them I liked, but most of them I did not.
Yep. All right. So that good time.
TV. But you know what did take a lot of swings and stuff that I do like? Peacemaker.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So I have probably watched that intro like 5 times today.
If you've ever been on Facebook and you've seen any people remark about it, it's true.
Like,
you don't want to know the person who opts to skip past the
oh,
intro.
Okay. So I have been the person who I've accidentally skipped the intro.
Okay, well, you didn't do it on purpose. I mean,
Because when you're on the TV, it just shows up. It's like skip intro, and I always instinctively, because I've been on Netflix for so long, just hit the button, and I'm like, now I got to rewind it.
Yep.
Which is just a pain in the butt. But yeah, it's so good. Like, I've watched 5 and 6 today, and I've watched it like 3 times by myself, just watching it on YouTube, like in the living room. And my wife's like, why are you watching this crap? Does he know he looks that stupid? And I'm just like,
that's the point.
I know, it's so good. Like,
you know who came up with that?
No,
Alan Tudyk and his wife. His wife is the choreographer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like, it's so weird. Like, the first time I watched it, I thought it was really weird because they all have that stoic face.
That's what sells it. That's the best part.
Yeah, and then
everybody's so serious about it.
And like, the first time you watch the intro, half of these characters you have no idea who they are, because like the 2 cops, they haven't introduced them, and then they introduce the new captain, but he's in the intro, and then there's the dad and the little short guy, and like the old man
and judo master.
Yeah, like all these people, you're like, who are these people? Like, I've met, the rest of the characters because they're in the first part of the episode, but like, or they're in Suicide Squad. So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But then as you watch the show more, you're like, oh, I understand why they're in the intro. Like, at first I was like, I hate that these characters are in the intro when they're not in the show yet, but it's good times. Like, Vigilante is amazing.
He's incredible, and I did not know till 3 or 4 episodes in that he was Cormac McLagan, and I was like, that's amazing.
Yep.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Okay, well, that's Cormac McLagan from freaking Half-Blood Prince as Vigilante.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, like, the show is so good. Like, I know a lot of people, like me and my best friend were talking. I was like, I think this is the best thing the DC Extended Universe has ever made.
Yes, and I don't even think it's that close, honestly.
Yeah, like, and
shoulders above everything else.
Yeah, like, I know my wife and his wife both don't like it. Don't like the campy, stupid humor, but I love it. And I know if I would like it as much if it wasn't John Cena. But because I've watched John Cena since I was a 14-year-old kid, maybe younger than that. No, yeah, definitely younger than that. Like an 11-year-old kid, I just really enjoy it. And it's probably the same reason why I like all the Rock's movies, because
Well, that I don't understand. And John Cena makes bad movies, but I did like The Marine when it came out in 2007. And by the way, with him and Robert Patrick, so it's a reunion 15 years in the making, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I honestly think at this point, Colton, I honestly think of the Suicide Squad just as an hors d'oeuvre, an aperitif to get to the Peacemaker show.
Yeah, like it's so weird because, like, watching that movie, like, there are moments where, like, I do not like Suicide Squad.
What? Like, really?
Yeah, like, there's so many things where I'm just like, one, I think it's about 25 minutes too long.
No, see, like, I can stay with the Suicide Squad, unlike how I could not stay with Eternals.
Yeah, I also think Eternals is probably about an hour too long.
That's
But
about 45 minutes to an hour too long. Yes, you are.
whereas then there's good movies where like I think like all right, I say good movies. Amaru says piece of crap. But like there's
here right now.
yeah, Let There Be Carnage is like the perfect length for that movie.
No, that's its most redeeming quality.
Yeah, like
7 minutes. If it was like 100 minutes, it would be irredeemable. I would have nothing good to say about it. If I
yeah,
get 7 minutes, I'm like, hey, you know what? You can knock that out pretty simply. That's cool.
yeah, and that's what I think. Like, I agree. I think it's the perfect length for that movie.
Yes.
But like, I think Venom, the first one, is too short. I could go for an extra 30 minutes of the first Venom movie.
Jesus Christ.
And
Okay.
like, I could go, even though I know No Way Home is pretty long, I could go for an extra 30 minutes of that.
It doesn't feel that long.
Yeah, it
With
doesn't.
Infinity War and Endgame. Endgame's 3 hours, but I could watch Endgame riveted the whole time.
Yep.
It just flies by. It's incredible how that can work.
Yep.
I honestly think, and I was going to say this when we were talking about Eternals, I think if we have an origin movie or the first movie for anything, it shouldn't be longer than 2 hours. I think that should be the rule.
And now I will say, I don't like I love the intro to Peacemaker,
Of course.
but I hate that between the intro and the credits, it's like 6.5 minutes. I wish the show was longer. Like,
I mean, it's 45 minutes, 42 minutes every week.
yeah, like it's but with those things, it's like really like 38 to 40 minutes. And I'm like, I have liked the fact that I've watched the first 6 episodes in the last 3 days. It has been wonderful because I just be as soon as like I don't know what y'all are doing waiting a week. Like, I mean, give it next Thursday, I'll know exactly what that's like. But it's so good. Like, he's so good that I'm just like, I
He's
want to watch
great.
this episode.
Somebody explained that in a comedy show, Vigilante's the comic relief, which shouldn't work, but it absolutely works the whole time. Eagly's the best computer-generated animal you've ever seen in your life, for many, many reasons. Not the least of which is he's freaking adorable and deadly all at the same time, which is great. Yeah. The cops, you didn't really see a whole lot of them, but you sort of understood kind of what they were getting around, and then this last episode really focused a lot on them.
Yeah,
his dad is a piece of crap, but now he's fucking geared up, and can't wait to see what the next 2 episodes look like when he's geared up.
How many episodes are there gonna be?
8. There's only 2 more.
That's so depressing.
I mean, James Gunn has said that he would do more if John Cena's on board to do more, and HBO Max and DCEU is willing to give him the right to do more, and they should definitely do more because oh my gosh, his constant taking down of all the Justice League members is freaking awesome. I love it. Every time it comes up, I'm like, yes, please keep making fun of other superheroes. It's wonderful. The argument he gets into with the neighbor about Batman and how much of a pansy he is great.
Yeah.
When he goes, riddle me this, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah. And then there's a thing on Facebook, I think, where he talks about him versus Aquaman. Yeah. I haven't watched it yet because I hadn't got to this.
It's like 20 seconds. It's like,
yeah.
He looks like he lifts, I think is what he says. And he gets that jacked while working underwater. He's like, good on you, bro.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the show, he talks about how Aquaman screws fish. And he talks about how Superman has a butthole fetish. And he talks about how the Flash is an unbearable D-bag, like everybody else who's met him. And that Wonder Woman spent a whole party eye-effing him across the room.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible thing to say, but Peacemaker's a misogynist, so he says terrible things like that all the time. So you're just used to it at this point. Yeah, I mean, this show, even the people who a lot of the problems going in for people when they were getting ready to watch it was that the people who they surrounded him with from the Suicide Squad, the members of the group who managed the Suicide Squad back at at HQ they thought would be a weak point, and they're not a weak point. When they get more time to do stuff, they're good. I mean, everybody's good. So I love this show so much. I was gonna watch it and be like, I mean, I'm watching it because I've watched all the DCEU stuff, and I like John Cena, and I saw a trailer and it looked pretty good, but I was reserving the right to pivot off of that. But it's just so incredible. I like it more than the next show we're gonna talk about at this point, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Like,
I think it's a better made show that makes me feel more things.
yeah. Well, all right. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But
Okay.
like I will say, like the reveal at the end of episode 4 that Myrn is a butterfly, I didn't expect that at all. It's so creepy. Like, look at that.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch that episode and they explain in episode 6 about how Harcourt knew that he was a butterfly, but it's like when we watched that, my wife was like, "How did he survive that? Is he like a butterfly?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess I don't think so, but I guess that's possible." And then it happened. She's like, "I called it." I was like, "Yeah, you did. That's really good." But I mean, that's kind of a big thing that stares you in the face to explain
And
how
honestly,
he is.
I thought he was gonna kill. Like at the end of episode 5, like she puts the helmet on and she starts looking around. I'm like, no! And then he makes the noise that they make.
Yeah,
like,
it's when they're threatened, really.
Yeah.
I think it's exposure or being threatened physically. I think they make that noise out of
And I was like, oh crap! And I really liked her character. Like she was warming up to me. Like I knew she's a traitor, like to Amanda Waller. Like the rest of the group's kind of. And then like in episode 6, is Amanda her mom?
Yeah, they explain that at the end of episode 1. She has the Skype call with her. She says she calls her mom, which I sort of figured when she came in. I was like, she's probably Amanda Waller's daughter. Let's be frank, and she is.
Yeah, I guess because they probably can't afford to have Viola Davis in the show very much.
No,
I assume that's.
Honestly, I didn't think she'd be in the show at all. So the fact that she was on a screen and did a message, and it's quite possible she's in like the last episode, either on a screen or in real life for a couple minutes. I think is a credit to James Gunn to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, and now I'm trying to remember. What are the cops' names?
So you have Sophie Song.
Yep.
And then you have dang it, I can't remember the dude's name, but he's the dude from like
so many things that I've seen.
Yeah, he's like in Freddy vs. Jason and Night the Roxbury and Scary Movie. He was in all these things. I can't remember his name. It begins with an L, I think. I'll look it up.
I can't pronounce it. Lachlan, maybe.
Lachlan is the actor name.
Yeah.
The character name, I do not remember.
Larry Fitzgibbon.
Yeah, Fitzgibbon. Yeah.
But yeah, he's been in so much stuff, and like that was the part of the end of episode 6 that no one's watching right now, so spoiler alert. She becomes a butterfly, and then summons all the other ones in their ship, and then takes over the police force. I kind of hate that because I liked. She was like a really compelling character, and now I'm just like, ooh, like now it's making because they're very like unemotional, which now makes.
By the way, the smiling thing is the creepiest effing thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, like, but they're all pretty much. They don't show emotions, which makes the like intro really weird for me because I'm like, they aren't showing emotions there. So is that supposed to be a hint that they're all going to become butterflies by the end of the show?
No, I think that's just a choice comedically for the dance number. I don't think that's a reference to anything other than the tone of the show, which is people taking stuff seriously, and it's not meant to be. It's hilarious in how it's executed.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for the next 2 episodes.
Get to figure about the cow. Get to find out if the cow is a real cow or not.
Yeah. And then of course, like we got the what's it? I'm trying to think what his title is. The dad's actual
Oh, he's the White Dragon.
White Dragon. That's it.
Yeah.
Um,
They were putting him on. I was like, is he like the Rocketeer or something? That outfit is terrifying.
yeah. Honestly, like, hey, internet, don't cancel me. I kept on thinking his name was going to end up being like the White Devil or something.
No.
Because he has got the horns and all that crap, and I was like, that's too on the nose. And then it's White Dragon, which is totally a clan thing, which, like, whatever. I mean, it fits with his personality and everything.
We got a little bit more into the backstory of Peacemaker and his brother. Like, we assume they didn't show still the whole thing, so it looks like he kills him, but it could be something else as well. It's still open to interpretation, which is nice. How about like just him in the classroom talking to the kids, by the way, giving the kids all these funny names, and then somebody asks if you have a backstory, and then he thinks about that, and the emotional moments of this show, like when Myrn talks about being a butterfly and taking over the original Myrn's mind and having his thoughts and his memories, and that he was a terrible person, but he had the capacity to change and he took it away from him. Like, the acting on the show is really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Made me feel things I didn't expect that I was going to feel in a Peacemaker show.
Yeah.
Credit to James Gunn. And by the way, this last one, was a horror episode, which James Gunn loves to do. It's the first one that it was like really horror centric. And when butterflies go in and the blood spurts out, it's terrifying.
Yeah, and the fact that they don't like clean up their faces or anything is
that too is very creepy. I was wondering if you chomp down, because everybody kept trying to pull it out, but what if
if you just bit through it?
Yeah, would that work? I imagine it'd be gross, but if you lived, I think that's a good alternative.
Well, and then another one flies in your mouth, and you just got to continuously do that.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with the Starro thing, right? If you just protect your face, you're probably okay. Which is why people were talking about the White Dragon Augie being taken over by a butterfly, so he's like uber superpowered. But I'm like, if he has a mask on and has that suit on, he can't really be, or he doesn't really have an open orifice for anybody to fly into. So I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah, no, and like Peacemaker's entire conversation about him not wanting to kill people, like I think he's going to end up having to kill all these cops because now, especially at the end of episode 6, like they're like coming for him, and I'm like,
he said he doesn't care about killing aliens, and he killed a bunch of. They said it like he's what was it? He was connected to 32 deaths or 33 deaths at the bottling plant, which were mostly his, honestly. So I don't think he'll have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I think if it comes to like killing a member of his team who's still a human, or Waller or somebody like that, he might hesitate. It comes down to that. Like if one of the team members is going to like kill his father, I don't know what he's going to do then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited. I kind of hate that there's only 2 more episodes because
it's a bummer.
For
sure.
Yeah, because John Cena's the man. So
he is in this role, and I remember when he was doing all the press, right? And he was going around like from taking interviews from the Peacemaker set, and then going and just being dressed as Peacemaker the whole time. I was like, man, he's really committing to this. And as the show has gone on, I appreciate it more and more. And honestly, I think it'll be weird. Like I watch Wipeout sometimes that he's on. I haven't watched it lately. But I imagine me watching John Cena not as Peacemaker now is going to be strange.
Yeah, as a person who like, it's weird because he was always a face in WWE. Yeah. Like he was always a good guy. So seeing him like cursing and like having promiscuous sex and stuff like that. The first episode was really weird seeing him do doggy style with and then dancing around in his underpants. And I'm just like, I mean, hey, a person who hasn't been laid in 4 years, that's how you're going to act, I guess. But yeah, like it was a little weird, but immediately I was like, oh well, this is him, so
Yeah.
cool. I'm cool with it. But yeah, now let's move on to our main event, which in your opinion it should not be. The Book of Boba Fett.
No, it should because I think it's captured more of the zeitgeist, but I think Peacemaker's a better product.
Yeah, and actually like Peacemaker overtook it this week
Yeah.
as more viewers watched it, which I guarantee
That's what it's going to be like in 2 weeks during Peacemaker's finale when there's no Boba Fett left.
Yeah, which like I mean I probably yeah, like I watched all 6 episodes this week, so that gave him like 6 views right there. And if anyone else did that, cool. Probably not, because people are like normal. Like this is the first week where I've had like no children around super a lot, and like my wife's been like, yeah, just watch it in the living room. I don't care. And after they've gone to bed, I'm like, ooh, I can watch two episodes from 9 to 10:30. And then I'll go to bed. But all right, so Book of Boba Fett. I know last week we talked, spoiler alert for you out there, that I thought we were going to see Grogu this week.
Yeah, kudos to you. You really called this. I definitely thought this was not going to happen. And what this is that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have no shame.
Yeah,
that's what I learned. They have no shame. They don't.
And I will say, him getting on the planet, like I know people have been like, how does he know where Grogu is? And then like he still has that. He probably still has the scanner that like pings into his location.
Oh, he has like the code.
Like like the bounty tracker.
Yeah.
So he probably still has that. So that doesn't bother me so much.
QR code.
Yeah.
Biological QR code, as I call it.
Yeah. So that doesn't bother me.
I think it bothers me that a thing that you love so much that you track like that. But
yeah, I mean, it happens with dogs, I guess. Even though Grogu's more like his child, but
yeah,
you know, like future, I guarantee 100 years from now, people are going to do that with their children.
No, they already do that in their phones.
I do not. No, nor would I ever do that to like the grown ones. They know better, but I would never do that to my, fetus. So
okay.
Yeah, little man, nothing like that's ever gonna happen. But yeah, like he shows up, like R2D2's there, and then you see all these robots building a temple, and I'm like,
ant robots.
Yeah, and then they build him a bench, and then Ahsoka shows up, and I'm like, oh my lord! And now it makes me want to see the reaction between her, because now she's definitely met Luke, so I want to see their first interaction where he tells her, hey, I redeemed my dad. Because like everything I wanted came in this episode. Like everything except like I was really afraid of how Luke was gonna look. He looks so good.
The first scene that he talks when it's a wide view, I was like, oh, this isn't a thing. This is just a person. They found a person. They found another person who looks a lot like Mark Hamill, just sort of thrown in his dialogue. And then when they're walking, then it gets a little worse. And they close up, it's a little worse. But it's a lot better than what it was at the end of Mando season 2. So they've been working on it quite a bit.
Yeah, and like now, like I know there were some reports a while ago that they were thinking about doing a Luke Skywalker series, and at the time I said no, unless it was Sebastian Stan as Luke.
He has his blessing, by the way. I read stuff that they were like,
now that they can do it, like I'm sure this is pretty expensive. Like if it ever gets to the point where it's not as expensive, like they have apparently like they hired the guy from YouTube that does the deep fakes.
Oh.
And he redid the episode 8 of season 2 of Mandalorian with Luke to make it look the way it looked like Mark Hamill. So they hired him, and that's why it looks so much better. But and apparently from what I heard was Like, yeah, Mark Hamill, he redid the voice if there was any weird things, but apparently they've made a software where they can enter any line and Mark Hamill's voice will say the line.
They synthesized it.
Which is so weird because now you can like make him say anything, which is horribly dangerous and people won't know the difference.
I mean, this is like a Scream technology over the phone, right? It's just expanded for the sake of media.
But yeah, like I hate the thought of that because guess what? Someone one day, I mean, I'm not important, but if I ever became important enough, someone could take my voice and be like, Colton Roberts approves child murder. And that's a thing I've said now on TV. And I hate that thought. But I love like everything that went on here. Like he shows up and like
in his as I've seen, his midlife crisis.
Yeah, which I know we talked last week. Like I know you mentioned that you thought it was Anakin's ship,
Somebody thought it could be because of the
but apparently like Alex Damon came out and was like, because apparently he knows Orbish really well, and he was like, nope, it's not the same combination of letters that's on Anakin's ship, so it's not Anakin's. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, I didn't think logically it could be. Somebody brought it up that it was because of that. And I was like, oh, well, that's weird. But now it's better that it's not his.
Yeah, and like he shows up, gives the thing to Ahsoka, and then she gives it to Luke. But yeah, like the entire training thing, like I like that. Like he's like the disappointed dad who's like, wait, that's only how high you can jump? Come on, you can do this. And he's like, wait, I'll give you motivation. Here's the thing. Hey, it shoots him once, and then he realizes, yes, I can do this. The Yoda jump. And I'm like, I know a lot of people hate that about the prequels, that Yoda was able to do that, but I loved it.
More practical because it's a puppet, so people will probably be more okay with it now.
Yeah, and like the memory of Order 66.
Boy, Luke, what an asshole! Just having to make him remember this stuff.
Like I remember when we had Thomas on, I was like, I don't know how many times we're gonna see Order 66, and I was like, I guarantee we see it at least once more. This is the 6th time we've seen it. We have seen it twice in the last year, in the Bad Batch, and now this, and I'm just like, why?
By the way, what's the connection between the Bad Batch and Peacemaker?
Ooh. I don't know.
D. Bradley Baker. He's the voice of Eagly.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, so yeah, then they do that entire thing, and Luke's like, so the Mandalorian was here and gets the gift, and then they go back to Tatooine, which like at the beginning of the episode, like they have that entire Cobb Vanth thing.
So you don't know how excited that was really what set. I was like, yes, Oliphant. And he's doing his cowboy thing. And I told my wife, I was like, I know you've never watched Deadwood or Justified, but what he's doing right here is basically what you need to know about how he lives in Deadwood and Justified. Just imagine he had a cowboy hat on and a regular gun as opposed to a laser gun. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and like the beginning shot is him shooting the pikes, and he's doing it real fast. And like they pay that off at the end of the episode of he's not able to do that, and like,
well, there's always going to be someone who's faster than you.
Yeah, which like I know we just saw Cad Bane in the Bad Batch.
Uber spoilers. This is uber spoiler territory.
And I know people have complained that he's not the same color that he was in the Bad Batch.
Dumbest thing to complain about.
He's also 30 years older.
Dumbest thing to complain about. I know I don't have much a connection to Cad Bane because I didn't watch Clone Wars or whatever, but like calm down.
Yeah, he is
That's as
30.
good of a rendering as you could expect. I mean, a lot of people were very, very scared at how he would look coming into live action, and I think that's as good of a job as you could do, realistically.
And now, like, my prediction of, like, I thought maybe at the end of the season we'd see Thrawn. We will not see Thrawn now.
Kira might show up, though. I think that's a possibility. Maybe Maul, even, is a possibility.
Yeah, because I thought that this would lead into, like, because I didn't think Ahsoka was going to be in the show. So I thought,
I didn't think R2, Luke Skywalker, Grogu, and Ahsoka would all be in the show, but they all ended up being in the show.
yeah, well, I thought Luke and them were, but I didn't think Ahsoka was. So I thought the end credit scene was going to be to set up the Ahsoka show. And since she's supposed to be going after Thrawn, I thought, oh, they'll show him rotate in a chair because apparently that's their thing is their characters in chairs.
Yeah.
And it would be a blue guy with red eyes. They can't do that now because they just introduced some people to the first time. A dude with blue.
That was the biggest like search or whatever. Wasn't that like the number one thing on trending on Twitter on Wednesday was like blue alien, blue cowboy, blue alien cowboy or something?
And I know people are freaking out as well because, like, we just saw the Bad Batch. Like, he has the rocket boosters on his feet, and then he has a bigger hat. And people are like, he doesn't have his rocket boosters, and he doesn't have his hat. I'm like,
he changed hats.
Yeah, like, calm down. People change outfits. Han Solo changed outfits in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens.
Lando stole Han's outfit.
Yeah, like, it's okay. People, you don't have to, like, I know Star Wars fans hate Star Wars as much as they love Star Wars. And
by the way, do you think, because what this episode taught me, because Ahsoka was in it, I was wondering, does Dave Filoni ever like loosen his grip of control on Ahsoka's character?
I do not think so.
I don't think so either. I think it's like, I have to, if Ahsoka's going to be in it, I'm the one directing it. I don't care.
Yep, I agree, because he directed all the Clone Wars. He directed all the Rebels, and he's directed the 2 episodes in live action that she's been in.
So, I mean, it's like he just can't give up control. He's a control freak when it comes to.
I mean, I guess that's good because that was like the last big thing that George created was Ahsoka, and like Dave has always been like super supportive of George Lucas, whereas Disney and them have not been. And
they paid him $4 billion. I think they thought that was enough.
Yeah, but they like, there have been things that have came out, like they said that they keep him on as a creative consultant and let him write
they let him come to the set and hang out with Grogu.
Yeah, but
it's not like he can never come around.
Yeah, but like when you kind of say, hey, yeah, you can write the scripts for the sequels, which guess what? I don't care what people say about his script writing in the prequels. It was all one man's vision. And guess what? The sequels lacked that. Is that
yeah? I mean, yeah, they were written by a bunch of people, and there was a lot of groupthink in it. It was a bad idea.
Like, at least if you took George's scripts and said, okay, we'll fix these to make these the dialogue better, at least it would be one cohesive vision, which I like. That's the thing that they're doing now with Favreau and Filoni, is it's all their vision, and I love that.
He should have wrote the story, and J.J. Abrams should have wrote the dialogue.
Yep.
Is what should have happened, but it didn't happen. Or Rian Johnson writing the dialogue, whatever. You know what I mean? Just somebody better at dialogue than George, because George not good at dialogue at all. Can't do. But whatever. What are you gonna do? Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff, and then we got left with the defense versus offense decision. We got to see the mithril. You might as well just have been trekking to Mount Doom the way that thing looked, by the way.
Yeah, like I thought it was going to be a chain shirt. I didn't think it was going to be a helmet. But I think now we're going to totally get the thing next week of Grogu's going to get shot when he's on Tatooine, and Den's going to think he's dead, and then Luke will be like, no, he's wearing the armor. It just knocked him out.
I was so thrilled to see a little lightsaber, and then they said it was Yoda's, and I was like, Wait, did he just take that from Yoda's hut after he died?
Which,
Seems
like,
fucked up.
that's one of the complaints as well. Like, a lot of people, like, after Revenge of the Sith, there's a comic book
Yeah,
that is canon where they destroy Yoda's lightsaber.
that's what I heard. Yeah.
But then there's now been a new comic book where he apparently, like, you can see it in the background, so it's insinuated that he remade the lightsaber, and I'm assuming that's the one that Luke.
I've also heard that too, yes.
Which that makes me feel better because I haven't read that comic book, but I had read the issue where it had been destroyed, so that bothered me a little bit. But yeah, like,
I think of it like I was thinking about how it would work, and then I was thinking of Blue Harvest when Peter as Han Solo gets the gift basket and he gets a little lightsaber cheese knife. And I was like, that's what it'll be like. It'll be like a little lightsaber cheese knife. But no, it was more practical than that.
yeah. So, which choice do you think he's going to make?
I don't know. My hope is that he makes no choice.
Honestly, like,
My hope is that he's still there making a choice. He doesn't show up in the last episode. That's my hope.
honestly, I think he's going to choose the shirt. Not only because, like, there was one part in the episode, like, he's like, they're talking about that he's Luke's first student.
But he's not Luke's first student.
Yeah, no, it's Leia.
Well,
But-
the first student at the academy is Ben Solo. Is probably
Yes. And that's what we know, which is the reason why I think that he'll take the armor, because it has to be his first student at the academy is Ben. Which, like, Ben's like a 4-year-old at this point, 4 or 5-year-old. So I was surprised that we didn't see a little kid walking around, and that someone would just be like, if he had darker hair, you'd just be like, yeah, there he is. And then you just see like the back of a woman's head, and they could say that's Leia, because she trained on that planet as well. And like, we know that her doing politics and Ben doing Jedi stuff is what gave Han the reason to go back to smuggling, because he felt like he was just alone.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think he's gonna take the shirt. And the unfortunate thing is, I hope that they wait until Mandalorian season 3 for Den to just go pick him up. But I think it's gonna be.
I have no idea. I didn't think he would be in this episode, and he was.
I think it's gonna be something stupid. Like, I'm sure they'll do it great, and I'll feel better about it after I watch it. But I think as of right now, I think it's gonna be something stupid. Like, Luke is flying in on the X-Wing as Boba's group is getting defeated, and he parks and kills the Pikes.
If they do that again, I'm going to be upset.
Because, like,
we just did that. We just did Luke showing up to save everybody.
Yeah, like, the only part I like about that is the fact that, like, we know by the time of Last Jedi that his legend is all around the galaxy, because he does stuff like that. Just shows up and whomps fools and then disappears. And that's the reason why, like, whenever he fails with Ben, he's like in his own like gimmick. He's like, yeah, I'm the Jedi Master. I'm the best because other people have told me that. So like, for the sake of the story, like the connection to the sequels, that even though I don't like the sequels, I would like for them to connect to those. Like, so if he does show up and is just like, even if the Pikes see him and he ignites the lightsabers and they're like, yo, bro, and they leave Tatooine because they're like, yeah, we're not messing with a Jedi. Like, that would be more acceptable than him going to town on him. But I think we're going to end up seeing, like, there was that big duel between Cad Bane and Boba Fett in the Clone Wars that was supposed to happen, and they show in Bad Batch that it kind of does happen because Cad Bane's got the plate on his head.
Yep.
And then Boba has the dent in his helmet. So I think we'll see a rematch of that.
So you think we will see more Cad Bane in the last episode?
Yes. And I think we'll see, especially, like, I don't know who they'll have to, like, counter Den, but I think they'll have Bosk to counter Chrysanthemum because Trandoshans and Wookiees hate.
Gengar.
Maybe, but I don't think anyone, unless it's they hire like Bo-Katan or someone.
Well, that would be. I wouldn't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, or another like
Sabine Wren.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Parvizsla. They could be like, "Hey, yo, you help us, and you already don't like that Den guy. Maybe you can get the Darksaber from him."
Darksaber from him, yeah.
Yeah.
Cobb Vanth's still alive, right? Because if Cobb Vanth is dead, I'll be sad.
Yeah, I assume so because he got the one shoulder hit, and then
they were like, "Bring a stem, like help him out." They made a point of emphasis to make sure that we knew that his deputy was uber dead.
Yeah, Cad Bane shot him like 3 times, and
I was gonna say more like 5 to 6, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So because honestly, if you didn't know this about me, Colton, I ride for Oliphant.
Yeah,
you could say I'm like Legolas because I ride on Oliphants. I don't kneecap them and I don't shoot them in the head, but I ride with Oliphants, and I don't want him to be dead. I'd be really sad, and I don't want that for me. So I hope he's still alive. I hope he shows up again in this episode, even if he's not in action. I hope he's available.
Yeah, like I kind of want to see his interaction with Boba. Like I want to see
the armor. Yeah.
Yeah, be like, hey, I used to wear that, and hey, it looks a lot better on you.
Is that why he fucked it up?
Yeah,
like that. So it looked like a piece of crap when I got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the thing that most people were concerned about is that it's probably not going to be a satisfying conclusion to what was promised at the beginning of the Book of Boba Fett, because of these last 2 episodes have strayed completely off course for the Boba Fett storyline, and that's very true. So this is more kind of not about an ending, but about a setup for the next stuff. Mando season 3, Ahsoka, whatever else that they want to throw in here as part of the greater Star Wars TV canon.
Yeah, which I think there's going to be a second season of the show. Honestly, like
I don't know how people are going to react to that.
So I think because all the other shows that they're doing, they've said that they were limited series, like Kenobi and the Andor series are both limited series. Yeah. They've not said that about, obviously not about Mandalorian, but when Mandalorian came out, they didn't say it about it. And then they haven't said it about Ahsoka or Book of Boba Fett. And then they didn't say it about the Bad Batch, which everyone assumed it was just going to be a 1-season thing. And then they've been like, hey, we didn't say it was ever going to be 1 season. So, boom, 2 seasons, more seasons, whatever. Like,
more seasons. Just so many seasons for everybody.
Yeah, and like, I want there to be another season because I really want him to meet Omega. But that's my, like, I love connecting everything. And if he has a sister out there that Fennec knows about, like, I know she's really concerned with this entire taking over Tatooine thing, but eventually she would probably mention to him, hey, you have a sister who
well, you would think, but
yeah,
who knows.
And like, I know Tamir Morrison has said that he is willing to do more stuff, which could mean him coming in and being Rex or being Cody in the Kenobi series or something. But I don't like that idea. I would rather him just be Boba Fett. But if he's gonna, like, they can pay the one dude. Besides, my theory on Sylvester Stallone is,
Hunter. Yeah.
Like, now that we're not watching that show, I've completely forgotten most of their names.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Bad Batch, they can have their own actors. But all the other clones have to look like Tamir Morrison. They have to. And like Echo, yeah, he has to look like Tamir Morrison too. So, like, if they do the Bad Batch in live action at some point, like to bring Omega to Boba, it's gonna be, he's gonna have to play like 2 roles in that. But
hopefully he gets paid enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked the episode. Like, I loved the Luke stuff. I liked all the stuff except, like, they featured 20 seconds of the title character, and he didn't even say anything.
Nope.
And, like, I know I've seen things where apparently Tamira Morrison has said, I don't want to have dialogue. Like, Boba Fett's not supposed to talk. So
The show's about you, dude.
I
Even
know.
if you have dialogue, you should be in more scenes than one.
And apparently, like, some of the stuff that he was supposed to say in this episode, he asked Ming Na Wen to say it, and was like, "See, look how good of a job she's doing," and she was like super game for it. So
again, it's fine if he doesn't want to talk because he's more of a stoic sentinel, but he should be in more scenes than one.
Yeah.
No. And then, I mean, he wasn't in the last episode at all. So if you wanted to say like, oh, he doesn't have to be in every scene, that's fine. But he's been in one scene in 2 episodes of his own show. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
We'll see what happens next week.
Yeah. We sure will. But it will. I hope the next week's episode is like an hour long. Like if it's any less than that, then I know it will probably end up being disappointing. But like Hawkeye finale was an hour, so they can do that with Star Wars.
Sure.
So yeah, like I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Peacemaker. Let's go ahead and wait, do you have last things to say about the episode?
No, just I'm lukewarm on. No, I think this was. Yeah, I think it was my favorite episode, but then I think back, I'm like, well, it wasn't really much of an episode per se about story. It was just about like member berry stuff. So maybe the last episode was still my favorite overall as an episode, but it totally spits in the face of what the show is supposed to be and what we were promised. So I'm reserving the right to think that the finale is going to be bad as an episode of the Book of Boba Fett, but it might be fun and interesting as a launch pad for the rest of the new stuff that's going to be coming out as it relates to Star Wars TV content.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Jessica Biel is dead.
Jennifer Beals.
Jennifer Biel is dead.
By the way, I felt this episode was very Godfather-y.
Yeah,
that part where we do like a hit basically with a bomb, and then the scene where they have everybody together, Kersantin and the mods and Fennec Shand and Boba, and then Din comes in and they're talking about foot soldiers and you see like Kappas there. I'm like, man, this is really Godfather-ish. So that's what when I think about this show, I don't think of Star Wars. I think of gangster movies. That's what this reminds me of. Is gangster movies and The Sopranos. That's kind of how it's set up because it's about the underworld, right? So territories and foot soldiers and capos and all these things. It has a big Godfather-y feel to it. But yeah, that was an interesting thing. I wish they would have led up to a little bit more. I wish there was more stuff about the cantina. Was just a thing that was like, hey, the cantina is in this episode. It's in every episode. Now I'm not sure if it'll be in the last one because it got blown to shit. But yeah, Jennifer Beals and the that location is now smoldering.
Yeah, which now that makes me wonder if like when they're having their battle, will the citizens of Mos Espa be like, the Pikes blew up our favorite drinking hole. Let's go get them. Let's our beer.
We'll see. We'll see how much the daily citizens get involved in this, if they do at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I know like that's the reason why I think there's gonna be a season 2 is if they beat the Pikes, then the Hutts are gonna want their land back. Because like the only reason why they left in what was it, episode 4, I think. They were like, yeah, no, the Pikes are taking over. 3.
Yeah.
And we don't want anything to do with this. So and like so do you have any final predictions for the last episode? Like I think
the bringing into the syndicates, Kira Crimson Dawn is probably what I'm gonna believe comes up, at least at the end.
Yeah, I think if they decide to do a second season, then you are absolutely right. I think they'll have Crimson Dawn. And then, yeah, if they have Emilia Clarke back, that'd be great. God, I hope that would be good.
That's what I'm hoping for.
And then, of course, like I am totally down for like Boba riding the Rancor. That would be good.
Yeah, I guess we are due for some more Rancor time.
Yeah, and then I wonder if we'll see Danny Trejo again.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, and I still have my prediction about Luke showing up, but God, I hope not. And then yeah, like that's pretty much that. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and lower the spoilers. But yeah, like last one more week of that, 2 more weeks of Peacemaker. We will have the Schmodown Awards whenever we're done. I'll probably actually go watch that as soon as we're done with this. We'll talk about that next week, and we'll do predictions for the NFL next week.
Yep.
Like if anything changes, like obviously in the next,
I'll look up prop bets and see if we want to think about like prop bets and how things.
Yeah, and then of course, like I mean, who knows? Things could happen in the next week. Like, knock on wood, no one gets hurt, or like
I don't think that's going to happen. They're usually pretty safe when it comes
gets
to that.
COVID.
COVID's the real thing.
Yeah, or like I don't know, like crazy crap. Where is it at?
It's in Los Angeles. It's the second straight Super Bowl where a team with the home field gets to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So if like something happens with, is like California shuts down pretty easy. If something were to happen, would they just relocate the game, or
more than likely, yeah, they won't want to move it.
Yeah,
too much money involved. So yeah, they'd probably think about moving it to like Arizona or to Mexico or something.
Yeah, and then of course they have Dr. Dre, and then a bunch of other people. I have no idea who they are.
Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. What are you talking about? People you don't know.
Okay, it was those last two that I had no idea about that you said. I didn't know Eminem and Snoop Dogg were in it. So yeah, okay. So yeah, all right. Yeah, that's interesting. Cool. But yeah, go to that farewell. You have anything you would like to promote or anything?
We didn't talk about it, but my number one contender match for Geek Teams with Jake against Joe Fairley and Eli McKeag just went up today. So if y'all want to watch it, by all means, go ahead and do so. It's a fun one. I'll say that about it. Otherwise, I have some, I'm going to be in the Warzone free for all in the last one standing. That's going to air on Sunday, I believe. So look out for me for that. It doesn't go quite as well for me, that one, as the last one did. I'll say that too. But yeah, just that stuff. Robert Kastner, Facebook, doing this show, doing the trivia stuff. Just watch out for more because there's going to be more stuff coming. I'm also getting into debating as well. So
all right. And yeah, of course, you guys can follow me on Twitter at ColtonRoberts8 and follow the show at Supernova_show. I always wait until after the show to post the link on my Twitter page, so no one's coming in live from that. But 2 people just came on live right now.
Probably for something else.
So as we're leaving, thank you everyone out there for watching. You can play this back as soon as we're done, so that we talked about.
You can learn all about NFL, movie trivia stuff, Eternals, Peacemaker.
And that's pretty much that. Let's call it a day.
Don't forget to tip your virtual waitresses, everyone out there in the Supernova Show sphere.